Here we have Magic Election, and this is a very, very big-bodied 16 one-hand thoroughbred mare, and she is having her second ride. She had her first ride a couple of days ago, and that was her first ride in several years, as her most immediate job to this point has been having some babies. So she is just getting back into riding horse life. And so I was a lot tougher. I don't want to say I was tougher on her on this ride, but I had a much higher level of expectations. And I really just rode her like any other horse right off the track. I didn't baby her so much. We spent like less than 5 minutes on the lunge line. She came around relaxed really quickly. Billy didn't hold her at the mounting block, and we just basically had a normal ride. Walk, trot, canter in both directions, and she was very good. The mare is super duper talented, makes a beautiful shape. She's really could have like a really nice riding horse career ahead of her. There's absolutely no reason why she couldn't. She certainly has all the pieces, and she has great feet, clean legs, no injuries. She certainly is a very clean slate for somebody to get going again and go do some pretty cool stuff with. So she is pretty equal in what her sort of weakness is in both directions. It's her right shoulder. So when she's going to the left, she wants to lean to the outside a little bit. And when she's going to the right, it's still the right shoulder. So she sort of wants to fall to the inside on her inside shoulder a little bit. And so where you'll really see that is in the canter work, because of course that's where sort of you have the most pace and the most impulsion, so it's hardest to sort of keep everything straight and in line together between your heels to your hands. And so really you fix this by spending a lot of time in the walk and the trot, getting sort of the lateral movement down and making sure you have control of her shoulders and all those things. But for the sake of this ride, obviously she's for sale. I've had people message me and say they want to see her cantering under saddle, which I completely understand. So we did, and she had some really good moments, but where I would go with her from here is it's not that she needs to spend a lot more time right at this moment cantering under saddle. She needs to spend a lot of time in the walk and in the trot learning to be lateral and to move, yield from the leg and leg yielding, shoulder in, haunches in, all that good stuff. And then that will resolve the sort of the shoulder bulging issue in the canter without even really needing to spend too much time working on it in the canter. Obviously, when she has it, when I get her straight between my legs, she really makes a beautiful picture. So right there, she's leaning on the right shoulder a little bit. I mean, not terrible. Of course, we all have to keep in mind that she's having her second ride here, and it's her second ride in many years. So everything that I'm asking her to do, of course, we're having a conversation, and this is actually very good right here. But everything for me is with a little bit of a grain of salt. I'm not expecting perfection. I'm just asking her to engage in the conversation with me. And as long as we're having the conversation, it's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be trending in the right direction. And so this long side is better. That's why she got the little give on the inside rein there. Much better, keeping her right shoulder up and straight. That was very good. And then really good here. A little bit of distraction. I think there was a tractor or something in the field across the street. So, God, they all always find that the big open field across the street, for whatever reason, that is just so mesmerizing for them. A little bit of leaning on that right shoulder there, but not terrible. Certainly nothing obnoxious or anything to write home about. And then this here is quite lovely. I like her frame. Her tempo is maybe a little bit quick. I gotta remember the next time I watch this to slow things down one click. Actually, like right there, that's better at the tempo. Then that was actually quite a good canter transition. the problem here and why she's come up above the contact is that she cantered and then she sort of dove onto that right shoulder. And so the shoulder's the problem. The symptom is that she's coming up above the contact. So here we're having conversations. I'm trying to find some bend and get that inside shoulder tucked into my aids and to find some straightness there. And so here, this is obviously screamingly loudly leaning on that right shoulder. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, I have to do something different. Let's get on a small circle and then use the circle to help us find the bend, which will, of course, get her up off her right shoulder. And that helped immensely. And so right there is much better. So again, I'm not expecting perfection. I'm just asking for progress, which she's certainly giving me here. This is a lot better. She did the turn there around the circle better as well. And in no way is she, tuned out. She's very much with me. She's listening. She's trying. She's doing something that who knows if she's ever really been asked to sit down and be straight in the canter. And if she has, it's at least been several years since then. That was a pretty good turn there too. So with her to the right, the bend is your friend to get her up off that right shoulder and find some give around that rib cage on the inside leg. That's a lot better. So of course the long sides are going to be the hardest because you don't have the circle to aid you in the bend, but actually that was pretty good. She made a huge improvement from the moment we picked up the canter to the moment that we ended. And then when we came out of that canter, she just had this huge trot she just wanted to show off, and she was super steady and consistent in the contact. She really gives quite a powerful athletic feel about her. So then the last thing we did was work on this left canter work. And, she's funny. It's the same thing to the left that it is to the right. It's the right shoulder that she wants to lean on. But of course, now the symptom of that is that she'll be leaning to the outside instead of to the inside. And so that's what you're seeing here is we're having conversations about making this turn. Of course, she's got to turn off of my outside aids. And then right here, that's very good. The second I get control over that right shoulder, she sits like perfectly in a pocket of softness and balance. The moment, so here I've lost the right shoulder. She's leaning on sort of the fence line a little bit. There, I get it back. So it has absolutely nothing to do with her head, right? It doesn't have anything to do with the bit or her head. It just has to do with sort of keeping that tube straight between my legs. And when I've got her straight and she's between my aids, she's nice and round. And when she bobbles in the contact, that's when I've lost a shoulder. And this is actually quite good here. Lost the shoulder for a second, but she came back nicely. Yeah, that was pretty good. I was quite happy with her. First time cantering under saddle in several years, and she was totally willing to play the game with me. All right, so here she is on cross ties. Again, the reason why this mare is on the market so cheaply, actually I have two mares kind of in the same boat right now. Both of them are nice riding horses. However, they both need some help on the ground. So their ground manners are not where I would like them, and they will do best going to a human who really enjoys doing groundwork and is willing to put the time in, however much time that is just willing to put the time in to making these horses into really respectable horses to work with on the ground. And she's getting better. And, it's not like she's a monster, right? Like, this is not the end of the world, but it's just a little antsy. It's a little ornery. There can be some pretty animated pawing sometimes. She just needs to sort of figure out her space and her role in the on the ground stuff.